Hey everyone, it's Nadine from Nadine Walks, back with yet another Camino video. So today's topic is, I think, a pretty fun one. We're gonna talk about weird things that happen to my body when I walk the Camino. So before I get into the different things we're gonna talk about, I kind of have to do a bit of a disclaimer. Whenever it comes to stuff that happens to your body or changes in your body, always pay attention to your own body and get stuff checked out if you're ever concerned. So I'm not a doctor. This isn't medical advice. What is normal for me or not a concern for me might not be normal for you, or it may be a concern for you. So if you hear some of the stuff I talk about and think, oh, that's maybe happening to me, I don't have to worry about it, I would just say pay attention to your body always and get stuff checked out if there's ever cause for concern. That being said, I am going to talk about some weird stuff that happens to my body when I walk the Camino. Stuff that's not super concerning for me, but things that maybe I didn't realize would happen before I went on my first Camino. So the first one, we're going to kick it off with fingers swelling. So my fingers swell when I walk long distances. So when I'm doing long training hikes, when I'm on the Camino, and if my hands are down and my arms are down by my sides, if I'm not using trekking poles or a hiking pole or a stick, my fingers will often swell. And I think this is something that's fairly common for people who walk or hike long distances. It doesn't happen to everyone, but it definitely happens to me. It was something that I noticed actually before I even went on my first Camino, but it was on my training hikes. I noticed sometimes that I kind of looked down or my fingers just kind of felt a little funny, and I looked down and I'm like, my fingers are definitely swollen. Some people refer to this as having sausage fingers, and so I definitely sometimes have sausage fingers. One of the reasons that could cause your hands and fingers to swell when you're hiking is that more blood is flowing to your heart, your lungs, and other muscle groups when you're really exercising and exerting that much energy. And when your hands, especially when they're at your sides, and even if they're kind of swinging around a little, you're still not really like exercising them much. And so less blood then is flowing down into your hands. And because of this, your blood vessels will dilate and open up, and that can cause your hands and fingers to swell. So that's one kind of reason, possible reason for this. The good thing is that it should go away after you finish hiking, walking, exercising. That's always been the case for me. The swelling for me goes down pretty quickly. When you're walking, and if you're concerned about this, or you just, if this happens to you and it's kind of uncomfortable, you can always use hiking poles or a hiking stick, but using two poles will keep both hands kind of active. And I think just the kind of action of gripping the poles, adjusting your fingers, it gives enough exercise to your hands that it really kind of prevents the swelling. Sometimes even just kind of stretching your fingers out wide and then clenching them in a fist, kind of elevating your hands, holding them above your heart for a little bit can help the swelling go down. So if it's ever uncomfortable, that's something to do. For the most part though, it's, for me, it's not painful. It's not even really uncomfortable, just something I notice sometimes. But it's also something that I didn't realize could happen to me before I went on my first Camino. So that was something that I learned, one kind of side effect of long distance walking. So the second weird thing that happens to my body when I walked the Camino, it's happened to me a handful of times, maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 times, is that I will sometimes get a rash on my lower back legs. And so it's always kind of at my ankle, above my sock line, and it kind of goes up my calves. And again, this has only happened a couple times. And the first time was on my first Camino. I think I was somewhere on the Meseta. And I didn't even realize I had this rash until the end of the day. I think I was like changing or taking a shower, and I looked down, I was like, whoa, why is there this red rash covering the back of my legs? And it, I didn't even know it was there. It didn't itch. It wasn't painful. I didn't even notice it, but it did look rather alarming. And it went away on its own after a couple days. And at some point I looked into it. I don't think I went to like a medical center or got it. Well, definitely didn't go to a medical center to get it checked out because it wasn't bothering me. And I wanted to see if it, what would happen, if it would stay, if it would get worse. And it really got better pretty quickly. So I never got it checked out, but I did look into it and what it could be. And it turns out that it's something called hiker's rash. That's also referred to as golfer's rash. Here in the US, we sometimes call it Disney rash, and it can happen after a prolonged period of exercise, especially in hot and humid conditions and when your skin is exposed to the sun. And for me, that's exactly the scenario when it happens. Again, it's only happened a few times, but it has definitely been when I'm on a really long stage of the Camino and on a really hot day, this rash just develops. For some people, it can be kind of itchy or feel like it's burning a little. For me, again, that's never been the case. I think, an anti-itch cream might help a bit. All I ever do when I get this rash is I just make sure to wear pants until the rash goes away. And it really kind of clears up on its own within like 2 or 3 days. It doesn't take too long. And I just don't want that area of my skin being exposed to the sun, and it's always fine. So once again, this is something that doesn't happen to everyone, but it's common enough. I've read about it on the Camino forum. I've read about it in some other hiking groups. I think when you don't know what it is and realize what's going on, it is kind of alarming and a little concerning, but most of the time, a rash like this might just be hiker's rash, and it's really nothing to worry about. I did read that it is more common in women over 50. Now, I'm not 50 yet, so probably got it a little early, and I'm sure this will continue to happen to me on and off if I keep walking really long distances. But it's not my favorite thing to have happen, but also is something that I had never heard of until I got it on the Camino. So the third weird thing that happens to my body when I'm on the Camino, and it is something that I think happens probably to anyone on the Camino who is walking under the sun and has exposed skin, you're gonna get some weird tan lines. And there's not a lot to say about this, except some of the tan lines can be pretty extreme. I think for me, the most obvious tan lines are also on the back of my legs, but like right at the back of my ankles. So again, right above where my sock line is, kind of right on the back of my legs. And I think one reason is that I'm getting more sun exposure back there. Often on the Camino, the sun in the direction we're moving in, the sun is rising behind me and kind of stays kind of behind you a lot of the day throughout the morning. Early afternoon, it starts to come over. And I think just the back of my legs is getting a lot more sun. I think another reason this tan line is so obvious on my body is that my feet are always in my hiking shoes and socks when I'm on the Camino. And the socks I bring, I have 3 pairs of identical socks. And so they always are on my body at the exact same place. So there is a really sharp line where my pale skin kind of ends and where my tan skin begins. And it is a big contrast, especially when I'm walking along Camino and getting toward the end of that Camino. And there are times when I'm on a break and I change out of my shoes and put on sandals and I'm wearing shorts, and other pilgrims will say something about my tan lines. I've had locals in a bar point and laugh at my feet because my tan lines are so bad, and I just laugh along with them. It's kind of actually a nice benefit of walking the Camino, at least for me, is that I really care so little about how I look and how I appear. And the tan lines, I figure, are just part of that. I think when I come home and it's late summer and I'm still wearing shorts and sandals and I'm out and about, sometimes I'm a little self-conscious about those tan lines, but mostly I just look at them and think, yeah, this is a reminder and proof that I was just on a long Camino in the summer in Spain. And it's really the thing I want to be doing the most. And so I don't mind the tan lines so much. The fourth thing that is kind of a weird thing that happens when I'm on the Camino is that after a couple weeks, it usually takes a couple weeks for this to start to happen, but I need to go to the bathroom. I need to pee all the time. And I think this is just because I'm consuming a lot of liquid when I'm walking the Camino. So I'm always drinking water, and I think I'm very aware of how much water I'm drinking. I often walk in the summer. I'm really exerting a lot of energy, so I want to make sure I'm really hydrated. So I drink a lot of water all throughout the day, but I'm also drinking a lot of coffee and Aquarius and freshly squeezed orange juice and an afternoon beer. So I think I just am drinking a lot of liquid on the Camino. And so I guess my body just adapts by kind of having to go to the bathroom all the time. And it could be every hour. Sometimes it could be 30, 40 minutes after I use the bathroom, I have to go again. It can be a little annoying because sometimes you're walking and there's not a great spot to like duck off and use the bathroom privately. I know some other people kind of deal with this because I've heard it referred to as the Camino shuffle, because you're walking down the path, you all of a sudden really have to use the bathroom, you're waiting to find a good spot, so you're kind of shuffling along. And that has definitely been the case for me several times. So that's something that, my body just kind of readjusts after I'm done with the Camino, kind of goes back to normal. But on the Camino, for sure, I definitely have to go to the bathroom a lot more than I do in my normal life. And then the last thing, kind of weird, strange thing that happens to me when I'm on the Camino, and this is a good one, is that I randomly have some really good hair days on the Camino, better than I do at home. And this is really weird because on the Camino, I only use shampoo on my hair. And at home, I use shampoo and conditioner, sometimes leave-in conditioner, I'll sometimes blow dry my hair. I have a hair straightener I use sometimes. And all of this stuff and product and attention on my hair, and it's not a ton, but it's definitely more than on the Camino. But at home, it doesn't result to like really great hair days. Like my hair is just okay. I have really fine hair. Like I don't have thick, beautiful hair. And I think as I'm getting older, it's like thinning a little, and it just like, it's okay, but it's not great. But on the Camino, somehow, and this doesn't happen all the time, but there have definitely been days when I'll look in the mirror or I'll look at a photo of myself and I think like, wow, my hair looks great. It's got volume, it's fuller, it's shiny, it looks healthy. And all of this with just a little bit of shampoo and a comb. And the shampoo is just stuff I bring from home. And when I run out of that, I'm using any shampoo I can get my hands on. Sometimes it's even just like shampoo that someone has like left behind in the albergue. I'll like take a little of that, and I don't even know what kind of shampoo that is, but somehow I get some really nice hair days on the Camino. And I've thought about this because it's been happening for a while, and I don't know if it's like the water and that I use to shower and wash my hair, just maybe the difference in water. I don't know if it's just that I'm outside and moving and in the sunshine. Could be diet, right? Maybe the food I eat in Europe compared to the food I eat here in the US. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's just Camino magic. So I'll take it, because I also get the sausage fingers, the hiker's rash, having to go to the bathroom all the time, weird tan lines, but I also get some good hair days on the Camino. So that's my list of weird things that happen to my body when I walk the Camino. I think please, in the comment section of this video, I would love for you to share all of your weird stuff that happens when you're on the Camino. If you can relate to anything that I shared, please chime in. If there's some stuff that doesn't happen to me that happens to you that you're a little surprised by, I think it would be really insightful to be able to kind of read about that, especially for people who are planning to go on the Camino. It could be kind of fun. I just think kind of fun topic to read about. So I hope you did enjoy this video. I had a lot of fun thinking about it and putting it together. But as ever, thank you so much for being here, taking the time to watch these videos, and I will be back soon with more Buen Camino.